In order to track scheduling activity using ListenLayer and the Acuity Squarespace scheduling listener, you'll need to place some helper script inside of your Acuity interface. So make sure that you have administrative access to your Acuity account and you can grab the script here. There's two options. This first option should be used if you have the Acuity scheduling app embedded on your website using an iframe. The second option should be used if you send your visitors to the actual scheduling page link that's provided by Acuity and they complete their scheduling there instead of doing it on your website. Now, the difference between these two scripts is minor but very important. In this first script, we have just a simple script tag, and that will need to be placed in the Acuity interface, and I'll show you where that goes. In the second option, we have a similar but slightly different script tag that needs to be placed. And in addition to that, you'll need to include Google Tag Manager right below that script. And your Google Tag Manager will need to include the main ListenLayer library script. So under your website configuration, you'll have this main ListenLayer script that needs to be running and loading on all pages inside of your Google Tag Manager. So let's jump into Acuity and we will take a look at exactly where this script gets placed. So what you'll do is you'll want to log in, and if you have the correct access, you'll be able to see this integrations option. And you'll want to navigate to custom conversion tracking. And when you edit that, you'll see this HTML tracking field that you can place code in. Now I have this configured right now to track the scheduling page directly as opposed to using an iframe embedded on my website. And you can see that we have the single script tag. This is the helper script. And I've placed my Google Tag Manager code directly below that. And of course, inside my Google Tag Manager container, I have the main ListenLayer script running. So let's jump to the scheduling page. And you'll notice that we have a custom scheduling link. Your link right here might just be an Acuity domain. We've gone ahead and changed the link name. And this is what that page looks like. It's important to note that when you reach the confirmation page is when the actual tracking script loads. Acuity doesn't really allow you to add tracking script like your Google Tag Manager container to this page as a whole. It only loads down here under this confirmation step. And so ListenLayer is only going to load on the confirmation step. Your data layer event's only going to fire on the confirmation step, and Google Tag Manager is only going to be loading on that confirmation step as well. So I'm going to copy this URL. I'm going to go ahead and jump to my Google Tag Manager here, and we're going to preview this. And again, because initially when this page loads, there is no Google Tag Manager container loading. And therefore, if I jump over here, you'll see we kind of, our tag assistant's kind of stuck. And so what you'll want to do is, and you may have to do this a couple times, you'll want to actually fill out, and schedule a couple appointments. Let's just try it this first time. And so when this step loads, Google Tag Manager should load, and all of that subsequent tracking script that we had. And you'll see here in mine, it automatically kind of picked that up over here in that tag assistant. I have seen where you have to do that a few times before it'll recognize that, hey, there is a Tag Manager container there that we can listen to. And right away, what you'll notice is I have this event from ListenLayer called Acuity Appointment Scheduled. And this is being pushed into the data layer based on the scheduling activity that I just completed, and as a result of the listener that is coming through ListenLayer. Now, if we take a step back, though, we jump to container loaded. It's important to know that, again, that main ListenLayer script has to be running through your Google Tag Manager account in order for this to work. So you have to have that tag. It has to be firing in Google Tag Manager on all pages. That Google Tag Manager container needs to be on on Acuity inside of integrations. And immediately, so here's that Google Tag Manager container code. And immediately above that is where I have the helper script from this second option down here. So at this point, we can confirm that when an actual when we're actually sending a user directly to this link, we're getting that data layer activity appearing when somebody completes a schedule. So this is the more complicated situation because you have to run Google Tag Manager on Acuity directly. If we jump back to our other option, however, this option, you actually should not be running Google Tag Manager on Acuity directly because you'll be running Google Tag Manager on your main website and Acuity will be embedded inside of an iframe. And so what this script does is it allows that iframe to communicate upwards to the parent page, which is your website, and the data layer activity will appear on your actual website, and that's where you're going to set up your Google Tag Manager and you're going to receive the data layer activity and you're going to track that. So unfortunately, there's not really a good way to have a single Acuity account and track both the embedded iframe on your website and then separately track your scheduling page. You won't want to use both of these options simultaneously. You'll either want to just use the scheduling page link and always send users there and track the scheduling from that, or you'll want to just embed it on a page on your website and never use the direct page link for your scheduling. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this code and I'm going to jump back to my Squarespace and I'm going to update this. I'm just going to go ahead and since I can't use both methods simultaneously, I'm just going to update this to include just the code that's needed when I'm embedding it on my website. And then I think on my test website here, I should have an iframe version of Acuity. And I'm just, for the sake of making sure I have the latest of everything, I just did a hard refresh here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this. I'm going to jump back over here. I'm going to end my preview here. And I'm going to preview again, but this time I'm going to switch and use that iframe. So now here, imagine this is your website and Acuity scheduling has been embedded on this page via an iframe. And you can actually, if you get a chance, you can dive in here and you can kind of find that iframe itself by inspecting the specific Acuity element, and then you can scroll up until you can kind of find where that iframe is located. So you can confirm that's being used. But again, the actual confirmation step here is the only place that the code is going to be allowed to fire, and that's because of a limitation inside of Acuity. So if I go ahead and schedule another appointment here, and we hit this step again, and what we'll see is we again have that same Acuity appointment scheduled, and it's coming into our tag manager. Now, just as a quick reminder, in this particular situation, this tag manager container is not running inside of Acuity. It's only running on my actual website, which is outside of Acuity, and this iframe that's showing Acuity is not running Google Tag Manager. Instead, what it's doing is it's passing the tracking data up a level to my main website where I have Google Tag Manager sitting, and Google Tag Manager is reading this data layer activity. In both situations, though, we get this Acuity appointment scheduled event in our Google Tag Manager, which then becomes a really simple and easy way to build a trigger targeting this custom event and to capture details about the appointment itself. So you can see here the actual information from whose calendar it was scheduled on and who actually scheduled the event and where the location was scheduled, and all of that is pushed here into the data layer and then can be read by Google Tag Manager and used to manage your tracking.